Hey guys, how's it going? Mark here from Mixit Studios. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. Today I wanted to talk about getting into live sound, but first, if you enjoy the video, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel and hit the notifications bell as well if you want to keep up to date with the videos that I'm putting out. All this really helps me out as I'm trying to build my channel, currently trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so yeah, any help from you guys is greatly appreciated. With that said, today I want to talk about getting into live sound and how you get started as a live sound engineer. It can often feel like a bit of a chicken and the egg type scenario where you're thinking, well, how do I get the work if I don't have any experience? But I need the work to get the experience. It can be quite frustrating in that regard. So hopefully this video will give you at least some food for thought and some ideas in helping you get started in your journey into the world of live sound. Obviously right now with stuff going on in the world, live events aren't really taking place. So this probably feels frustrating if you haven't gotten started yet in trying to get yourself out there as a live sound engineer. But I do think that once live events start to resume again, I think because we've seen a lot of people who are already in the industry, they've had to find work elsewhere whilst all this stuff is going on. And they may well not return to the industry once live events start to pick up again. So I do think there will be more opportunities there than normal when live events resume again in terms of finding work. That's how I feel about it anyway. So there are two main ways to approach getting into live sound work, and one of those is trying to find an in-house sound engineer position at a local music venue. Option two is trying to find freelance work. Typically this is going to be touring work with a live band. There is also corporate work, trying to get freelance gigs at festivals and so on, but probably your mainstay in the world of freelance work is going to be touring work with bands and maybe corporate work as well. But I think a lot of us who want to get into live sound want to work with live music, and that is primarily going to be through touring bands. And often people will incorporate both in-house work and freelance work into their jobs as a live sound engineer. The in-house work can be a bit more of a mainstay and regular work, and then when bands hit the festival season and the festival circuit and they're going on tour, sound engineers will go off on tour with the bands they tour with. So a lot of people will do both, but in terms of getting in-house work, the first step really is just getting to know your local music scene and your local venues. And by that, I mean really just going to as many local shows as you can and just essentially getting a lay of the land, really, getting to know all the people who work regularly in your local scene, so particularly the sound engineers, but also the other people who work at the music venues, all the local bands who are on the regular gigging circuit. Make yourself known. If nobody knows who you are, then you're going to have a lot harder time finding work. So you need to get out there, build a reputation with people. Your reputation doesn't just come from your quality of work. Actually, I think a lot of it comes in this line of work just from how you are as a person. So if people like your personality, you seem approachable and friendly and they get along with you, that is going to put you in a lot of a stronger position than just having the technical abilities will. People do tend to think of the stereotypical grumpy sound engineer, but really, from my experience in the real world, those people don't really tend to last long, and it's the people who the bands get along with, the venue management get along with, who find themselves staying in the industry for a long time. So get chatting to people, put yourself out there, and although, you know, I don't really want to encourage working for free, but I understand it is part of getting yourself out there, as long as you're not undermining the work you and other people do in the industry. I think it's okay to go and offer your services to people, just helping out essentially. I did this when I started out. I offered to help out, I think particularly at the local sort of pub gigs, local open mics, that sort of stuff that isn't at venues that are primarily music venues, where they're going to have smaller PA systems, less staff. They're going to be more open to people helping out because they probably will need that extra pair of hands. So if you can offer that for free, also in terms of building technical expertise, you can do a lot of this at home. As much as you do need the real world experience, and there's no real replacement for that, we're in a much better position nowadays than people used to be many years ago, in that we have the internet, there's endless resources online and on YouTube, and there's also offline editors. Considering most venues are using digital desks now, they all have what are called offline editors, which is essentially the software from the desk where you can download it for free, play around with all the features of the desk, build your own show file, and just learn all the functions of the desk. So you can pretty much learn every digital board out there without ever actually having to set your hands on it. Also, just using modern DAWs like Pro Tools, Logic, even GarageBand, basically anything where you can get your hands on some software EQs, compressors, effects, all of the sort of stuff that translates to doing live sound. So you can learn all the basics of EQ and compression, gating and so on, everything that you would be doing on a live sound desk. So there's a lot of stuff like that that you can learn from home before you even actually get out there into the real live music circuit. It's also worth considering shadowing. And shadowing, if you don't know, is essentially offering a local music venue or wherever there's going to be one of your local sound engineers, offering to just shadow what they do for a day. So watch them run a show for the day and how they do it, and chat with them, build a rapport. You probably won't really be doing anything hands-on, but there's a lot that can be learned from seeing how a show runs and just being able to see how a live sound engineer does their job. It will help you get a sense of a typical day in the life of a sound engineer. And I think that's a really valuable bit of experience. I've had a fair few people who have come and shadowed me. I feel like they've really not appreciated the opportunity that they have there, and they've expected maybe that it would be a bit more hands-on and they'd actually essentially get to do my job and mix a show, and that's just not going to happen. You are there to watch, but there's so much that can be gained from that. On the flip side, I also have had loads of people who've shadowed me who have been absolutely fantastic, and I think they benefited from it a lot. But I also have gained something, because for me, being a head engineer of several music venues where I've been in a position where I would be hiring people, it's a great way of me essentially sort of getting to know other people who are interested in doing live sound and sort of vetting them for the job. Quite often when I've been in the position of hiring somebody, I've been able to look back at the people who have come and shadowed, and if there's been somebody who's really good, I'm quite likely to get in touch with them and see if they'd be interested in a job. So there is that aspect to it too. I think above all, the biggest point I can make here is just get out there and make yourself known and seek out opportunities where you can offer your help. And from that, you will start to organically build a reputation where you'll find that over time you'll be looking for the work less and the opportunities will start to come to you more. It can be very difficult getting an in-house sound engineer position, as typically, there's only going to be so many local music venues in the place that you live, and those jobs are already going to be occupied by somebody. So until they decide to leave, there isn't going to be that opening there. It's the kind of line of work where there's a very small amount of jobs out there and a lot of people wanting to do it, so it can be very competitive. In terms of touring work, again, it's very similar. I would just start by getting out there on your local scene and getting to know the local bands, and keep an eye on the ones who are starting to build a career and gain a bit of a reputation themselves, because you really want to jump on the bandwagon with the band who are sort of on the rise, so to speak, and get them interested in having you do their sound. You want to find a band that is at that point where they're starting to think about taking that next step in their touring and gigging work, where they are going to be looking for their own sound engineer. If you just look for the local bands who are just starting out, they're not going to be at the point where they're probably not going to have the money to spend on having their own engineer, and B, they're probably not really going to understand the benefits of it, because they'll just be used to going and playing their gigs. The venue has a sound engineer already. They're not necessarily at that stage where they fully understand the differences there with having their own engineer who understands their sound and can work with them to achieve the best sound possible for them. And also just having an established rapport between each other where it makes it easier to work together. And that's two of the main differences between being a touring engineer and an in-house sound engineer. I enjoy aspects of both. Being a touring engineer, you get that opportunity to build more of a long-term relationship with a rapport between yourself and the band, where you really get to know each other and you really get to work on shaping their sound with them. On the flip side, as an in-house engineer, it can be quite exciting. The challenge of every day's different. You don't know what bands you're going to be working with that day, and you don't know what they're going to sound like necessarily. So you quickly have to adapt to whatever challenges that brings and whatever their sound is. So you have to work on your feet a lot more, and it's much more immediate in terms of the response that you have to give in that respect. The last thing I want to talk about before I leave you guys is managing your expectations. So don't get disheartened if earlier on you don't get where you want to quickly enough. It will take time, and it is a case of getting that first foot in the door, and you will find from there, once you get one job, if you do a good enough job, you're going to get recommended for another job, and things will grow organically from there, but it can take some time to get to that point. So just don't get too disheartened if you don't get where you want to quickly enough. Just be patient and persistent and be willing, work hard, and above all, just try and do the best you can to the best of your ability. And like I've kind of tried to reiterate a lot, if you show a good sense of character and you're friendly and people get along with you, that is going to put you in so much better stead than any of your technical ability will. In terms of money, you want to manage your expectations there. If you're lucky enough, you'll get out there with a successful touring band. If you're doing touring work, you'll be doing large arenas and big festivals with them, and there can be a lot of earning potential there. It's still, not an industry you get into if you want to earn loads and loads of money. There are better careers out there for earning money, even on the high end of things for live sound work. But typically at the lower level for in-house venue work in the UK at the moment, the going rate is around £10 an hour, and you'll very quickly hit a ceiling there where there's not really necessarily a huge ladder to climb, and short of pay rises and stuff for doing a better job, there isn't that much earning potential there with that kind of work. A lot of it you'll find will be in touring or corporate work, those kind of lines of work. So, manage your expectations there and be realistic about what you can actually earn. And primarily, let the main driving force behind doing this work be your passion for live music. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I said at the start, give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again in the next one.